Hello, navigators. Mr. Fetch. I am going to hustle through 4 chapters today to get you all caught up and moving in the right direction so we can finish this book in the next few days. I left you off at chapter 14, and chapter 14 actually was a very big chapter. It's where Cruz finds out he's being expelled from the academy by Dr. Hightower. He was accused of hacking into the computer simulation and making tasks easier for his team. Cruz denied it, but Dr. Hightower was not hearing anything of it, said he could appeal, but basically he's going to be sent home. And so chapter 15 starts off with Cruz being actually pretty numb to that news because all he ever wanted to be was an explorer. And he leaves Dr. Hightower's presence and goes back to his room to start packing. Sailor comes in and she's shocked to hear the news of what he said. Emmett comes back, his roommate, and Cruz is actually pretty upset. He turns on Emmett and starts yelling at him, basically accusing Emmett of being the one that hacked into the program because he had access to Cruz's laptop. And when Emmett got sick on the boat, he hacked into the OS bands. So Cruz pretty much verbally attacked him as far as being the one who did the damage, and Emmett left pretty hurt. Because he didn't feel like he was being trusted by Cruz. And I actually don't think Emmett did it, but Cruz lashed out because he was very angry. And so at the end of the story, or at the end of that chapter, Cruz is leaving the dormitory and saying goodbye to everybody without Emmett there. And he feels pretty bad because he thinks Emmett's the only brother he ever had. So chapter 16, he ends up going over to his Aunt Maricel's house to stay until his father comes from Hawaii to get him. And he tells Aunt Maricel about the journal that his mother said, "Find for me," and about some other things. And Aunt Maricel said she would help him. But she needed some help herself. So what she did is she said, "I'm going to be at school tomorrow, but why don't we get Renshaw to look at the videotapes to see if you're innocent? And then why don't you go to the library and see if you can get some information on that journal and see if you can find it." So Cruz did end up going back to the museum, did end up going back to the library to look for the journal, did have an encounter with the man with the snakeskin boots who chased him and caught him and was going to, force him to come with him. And it turns out that the man snakeskin boots works for the Nebula. The Nebula is a pharmaceutical company that sells prescription medication, and they're after Cruz and after Mother because they must have had secrets that would really harm this company. So that's why they're trying to silence Cruz, and they did silence Mother. Cruz was able to get away from this man with the help of Jericho, who resurfaces. He was the one that helped Cruz and the others earlier from that sanitation closet that was being gassed. And Jericho helps him here. Jericho's kind of strange, though, because he tried to get blood from Cruz, and Cruz said, "I'm not an explorer, so you can't give me a blood test." And Jericho kind of looked weird on that, and then ended up Jericho actually took his own blood and told Cruz to get out of there. So not sure what that's all about, but we're going to find out about that another time. At the end of chapter 17, Cruz's dad gets there, and they're basically just going to turn around and fly back to Hawaii. And so they board the plane again, say goodbye to Aunt Maricel. Cruz is, sad about leaving his days in Washington, the Explorer Academy. But then something comes to him. What his mom wrote at the end of her letter when she said, "You're the only one that can find, my journal, find my life," and then left a message, PASC C slew, and it turned out that Cruz knew that was a library code where her journal was. So convinced Dad to get off the plane. They left the plane and got back to the library in time. And they did find Mom's journal, but the librarian, who's named Mr. Rook, actually kind of turned on him and wanted to get the journal for himself because he worked for the Nebula. And then that chapter ends with basically them standing there at a standstill. So that's caught you up. Good luck reading today.